Now, one example and one issue in the business world is that the problem of climate change seems so big that people think entire industries will have to be eliminated. Airplanes emit greenhouse gases, so we should all stop flying. Cows emit methane, so we should all become vegans and stop drinking milk and eating meat. And there goes the entire airline and cattle industries. Well, I have good news. We probably will not have to give up meat and milk. If you like cafe au lait, you can still have the au lait. The cattle industry can both reduce greenhouse gases and make more money. Here is how they are doing exactly that in Australia. Now, when cows eat food, they produce milk. And they also produce greenhouse gases such as methane and ammonia as waste. The milk, of course, is stored in their udders, and the gases are expelled out both ends. Yes, through burps and farts. Now, a single dairy cow can generate up to 3 tons of carbon dioxide equivalents every single year. But here's the key. Milk, methane. The more milk a cow produces, the less methane it produces. The less milk a cow produces, the more methane it produces. So the issue is a question of efficiency. How can cows produce more milk? Within the large Australian dairy industry, there are many opportunities to reduce greenhouse gases and increase profitability at the same time. Now, that industry has made a commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 30% by 2030. And there are many ways that they are doing so, ranging from feed supplements to how they use their land, how they manage manure and waste, and how they manage their cows. Basically, it comes down to changing how you deal with your cows, your land, your soil, and your machines. The largest part, of course, is the cow. Some breeds emit more methane than others, so farmers are now selectively breeding them to reduce emissions. Further, scientists have discovered that comfortable cows create more milk and less methane. So farmers are creating shade in the fields during summers and building shelters in the fields during winters. And that is just part of the story. The next is the food that the cows eat. Over in Holland, there is a company called DSM that creates various animal feed supplements. Just a quarter teaspoon of Bovier, a quarter teaspoon per cow per day, suppresses the enzyme that triggers methane production in cows. And this additive can reduce methane emission by 30% in dairy cows and up to 90% in beef cows. And in addition to carbon dioxide and methane, nitrous oxide is another greenhouse gas. And humans contribute to that gas by using synthetic fertilizers on soil. Right now, farmers in Australia are exploring how to apply nitrogen at only the right time, in only the right places, and at only the right amounts to make sure that they are using only as much as they exactly need and to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. And on the human side, it comes down to making the machines that the farmers are using more efficient. In just one example, electricity for the lights on one farm in New South Wales cost $230,000 per year. After they did an energy audit, the farm upgraded all of their lights. The new cost was only $105,000 per year. That is more than a 50% reduction in energy use and a 50% reduction in costs. For all of these initiatives and more, Dairy Australia will be releasing more reports next year. But this is what is important. All of this is being done without saying anything in advertising or even thinking about the customers. The customers, people in Australia who buy milk, cheese, and beef have nothing to do with any of this. So this example of brand purpose is just helping the world by making your company more efficient. Australian dairy farmers are reducing greenhouse gases and increasing the amount of milk they have to sell at the same time. Here's a summary.
Within the emissions space, I suppose that's not something that I wake up in the morning and I think, how do I reduce my emissions?
Greenhouse gas emissions might not be top of mind for Victor Rodwell, but running a profitable dairying business is. A successful business, by definition, is profitable. And if you didn't know any better, you might think that it's a trade-off between profit and emissions. Well, it's not. This is a story about profits and not costs. Emissions reductions improve the profitability of dairy businesses. If you reduce this, you'll actually increase that.
The best way to reduce emissions is to be an efficient farmer. So it's really about good business management right across all the things you do on the farm. And that will bring down your emissions intensity.
And if you watch all the videos in this series, you'll discover that Victor Rodwell was talking about forage crops. And he's perfectly aware that the better he can feed his cows, the more energy gets turned into milk instead of methane.
Methane is a very dense form of energy. And so when you lose energy, you're losing potential milk production. So reducing methane means you're pushing that energy back into production, back into milk production, instead of losing it as a greenhouse gas. So it makes economic sense that where we can, we should do that because we produce more milk.
But this is just one example. This video series has dozens. You can find out more on this story or any other profitable dairying project at www.dairyclimatetoolkit.com.au.